Okay, so let's go ahead and make that determine weapon coroutine that we started from the last step. So let's go ahead and add some space down here below take weapon. We're going to say I enumerator, which I'm going to tap down and select there. Say determine weapon, open and close parentheses, and then our brackets. So we're going to say float appearance delay equals 0.1f. And then we're going to say while time.time is less than selection time, which you remember before we call the coroutine, we actually assign that by adding our selection delay to the current time. And then inside that while loop, we're going to say for each var weapon in weapon objects, weapon.set active is true. So we're going to turn on the weapon in our weapon objects. We're then going to say yield return new wait for seconds appearance delay. So that's how long it stays on screen for us. Then we're going to say weapon.set active is false. So we want to turn it back off. And then another thing we want to do is add a little bit of time to our appearance delay so that as we get closer to the weapon selection being finished, it'll slow down how long it takes for them to turn on and off. So we're going to say weapon appearance delay equals or plus equals to appearance delay times 0.1f. That's going to scale it up as it gets larger and larger. Next, we're going to go outside of our while loop and add a little space. And we're going to say for each var weapon in weapon objects, just like we did inside the while loop. But this time we're going to just set them all to false because we want to make sure all of them are turned off. And then what we want to say is selected weapons, or a selected weapon equals weapons dot random, or weapons, and then in the square brackets, excuse me, we're going to say random.range is between 0 and weapons.length. So we pick a random weapon, and then we're going to say weapon objects, and then what we're going to do is what's called a cast here. We're going to say in parentheses, we're going to type integer, and then we're going to say selected weapon. So that's going to turn our weapon type variable into an integer for us by doing what's called a cast, and then dot set active is true, which means that this is all just for show. All this cycling through each weapon, that's all for show. What this is doing is actually determining which weapon is to be selected and then enabling that weapon. It has nothing to do with the cycle of turning weapons on and off. And then once we do that, all we have to do is say weapon ready equals true, just like that. And now our mystery chest script is complete. We can go ahead and head back to our scene view here, and we're going to continue to operate inside of our mystery chest prefab. So what we want to do is add our mystery chest component, or I'm sorry, we already did that, but we need to expand our weapon objects and weapons arrays here. And this is where what you're doing might differ a little bit from what we're doing. If you did the bonus step where you got the grenade launcher, you're going to put 4 for both of these. If you did not do the bonus step where you got the grenade launcher, you're going to do 3. And you'll see, it'll make sense here in a second. The reason for that being, we only want to be able to unlock weapons that we've actually programmed as to avoid causing errors. So for me, I do have the grenade launcher, so I'm going to go through and choose set element 0 to pistol, set element 1 to machine gun, set element 2 to shotgun, and element 3 to grenade launcher. And then what we need to do is actually assign our weapon objects into our array here. And we also need to add our weapon objects onto our prefab because we want these weapons to show up over the mystery chest while this thing spins. So what we're going to do is drag and drop each of these weapons right onto the mystery chest game object, right on top there. We'll do the grenade launcher as well. And what we're going to do is make sure all of these are centered and move them all up into the air, just like that. And then we're going to turn each one off. Disable the game object, disable. We're going to make sure that all of these are in the right space. I think this guy is not. So we're going to move him up to match everybody else. Let's see what are their Y values. We'll copy that, move them just like that. And now if I were to go through and turn them on one at a time, you'll see they're all kind of floating above our chest here. Perfect, just like that. I'm actually going to scooch the machine gun over a little bit so it's more centered. I'm also going to scale our weapon crate and weapon crate lid just a little bit so it looks a little bit beefier than just a normal prop. Maybe that's too much to the side. There we go. I think that looks good. So again, we're going to turn that off. I actually want, the order here matters. We want it to be pistol, machine gun, shotgun, grenade launcher. So if they're in a different order, make sure you rearrange them so that they're not. And then now we're going to drag those into our weapon objects list here. The last step that we need to take is in our interactable script, in this on interact field, we're going to hit the plus button and we're going to drag the mystery chest down into that. We're then going to hit this no function drop down and find mystery chest and then find the use chest option there. Now with all that stuff set up, what we're going to do is go ahead and, oh, actually we need to do one more thing to the prefab. I clicked off there. Get a little bit ahead of myself. We actually want to put this layer on the trigger layer. And we want to say no, this object only. And that's just because we don't want our gun to actually, when we fire it, we don't want it to hit the trigger here. We want it to only hit the box. So by setting this layer to trigger, we will avoid any unnecessary issues with that. So now what we can do is drag our mystery box prefab out into the world. I'm going to disable my enemies so I don't have to worry about them messing with me while I do this. And then I also want to go back to my player, go to my weapon controller component, and we're going to remove all of our unlocked weapons by setting the size of this variable back to 0. Because again, we want to start out with nothing unlocked, and we want the player to have to use the mystery chest to get this stuff himself. Finally, we need to set our current goal to 100 so we have at least enough to activate the chest the one time. So now if I hit play and I walk over to my chest here and hit the E key, we'll see now it does this nice spin animation. Looks like I got the shotgun, so if I press E again, I now have unlocked the shotgun, and if I press E, it's there visible for me, and I can do with it as I would have before if I had left it unlocked to begin with. So yeah, that's our interaction, and then the next step we're going to get into setting up the UI, and then finally the game manager to get the waves and stuff beginning to roll. Our mystery chest is set up, but let's of course remember to make sure we move our mystery chest script into the created scripts folder.